Do you hear me? The answer's no!
It's time to fulfill your destiny.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Flashverse here, and welcome back to another video on The Flash Season 8, and this will be my review and breakdown for The Flash Season 8 Episode 18, titled The Man in the Yellow Tie. And just giving you guys my quick initial thoughts on this episode before I go more in detail with the breakdown itself. I watched this episode twice, and I loved it even more the second time I watched it. What an episode. It was genuinely such a phenomenal episode. It's definitely up there with being one of the best episodes of the season. In fact, it probably might be my favorite episode of the season. I'm not entirely sure. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch Armageddon to decide. But this episode was definitely up there. What an episode. It kept me intrigued all the way throughout with all the different storylines we had. Tom Cavanagh just continues to kill it as the Reverse Flash. He just continuously proves why he is the best actor on the show, in my opinion. His portrayal of this character is so good. And as usual, he just kills it whenever he appears. Whenever this man is just on screen, I don't know how, but like he just generates this energy where the scene just multiplies by 10. That's how great the scene becomes when Tom Cavanagh is in it, and you really see how in this episode. Seeing Matt Letcher come back to this role was also something I really loved seeing. He was Eobard Thawne, but with a twist where he doesn't really have a rivalry with the Flash. He doesn't remember certain stuff. But yeah, we see him working at Fast Track Labs and having this new side to Thawne, which we never got to see before, where he cared for someone and he was being selfless. He worked with Team Flash and all, and I really loved it. I thought it was an interesting storyline to bring in, and I enjoyed it a lot. One thing I really appreciated about this episode, and I know it's something kind of small, but I do really love the acknowledgement of this, and it is that they reference stuff from other Arrowverse shows, basically just highlighting this connectivity they have with one another, such as like us getting flashbacks of Thawne during what he did in Legends of Tomorrow, and us getting like certain cameos with like Ray Palmer towards the end of the episode. I really love that stuff, and hopefully we get more of that because it's something that really stood out for me, especially during this episode. I did have a bit of issues with the episode, most notably to do with whatever they're doing with Cecile. I'm not liking this arc where she just becomes this vigilante with powers. I just don't think it's necessary. Also that huge robbery we had with Diggle and the whole Green Lantern storyline as well. So yeah, that was something else that bothered me. But other than that, this episode was great. I would say it's perfect, but the Cecile stuff did bring the episode down a little bit for me. But I really do think this episode is up there with being one of the best episodes of the season and one of the best episodes of the whole show in general. We have, of course, been left on a really cool cliffhanger, and also we do have some really nice Easter eggs and cameos. So yeah, a lot of stuff to break down in today's video, and I'm really excited to talk about this episode because I really enjoyed this episode a lot, and I cannot wait to see what they have in store for us for the final 2 episodes of the season. But before I go over anything, however, you guys don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you are aware of more Arrowverse content coming your way. Okay, so this episode kicks off with Barry training Meena Dahwan in like the forest, and I did really like the intro monologue Meena did at the start of the episode. I thought it was a really fun addition they put in. We do see her running around the forest, and eventually she's told to catch up to Barry. And we do see like Meena's speed glitching out, and she accidentally fires lightning towards Barry, knocking Barry over. And we do see that her artificial speed essentially binds with Barry's speed force and pretty much drains it. And that was of course getting Barry a little bit more concerned, and they did have this mystery established with whatever's going on with Meena's speed in the episode, so that was something I did really like as well. But yeah, we do then head over to Cecile, where she does have this storyline at Central City Bank where we have this robbery taking place, and yeah, pretty much everyone's starting to panic as Cecile's powers just level up immensely. She's able to change how people are feeling, and I did really like the colors of like the spectrums and stuff. It's like the colors of like the Green Lantern spectrums, and it was really cool. Like we had red for rage, yellow for fear, and it was a really nice Easter egg that they added. It was quite a cool scene to see, but it did bother me because if the other robbers saw that Cecile was messing with one of their men, why didn't they just do something? Why were they just standing there doing nothing? So that was kind of like a thing for me. But yeah, it was quite an OP thing for Cecile to do, and it just highlights how much more powerful Cecile has become during this episode. But yeah, we do then have Cecile being checked up by Gideon in the med lab, and Chester does essentially mention that her powers just leveled up, and I believe Gideon like tells Chester that her powers leveled up by like 1,000% or something like that. I think that was the number they mentioned, correct me if I'm wrong. But Cecile notices that Barry is concerned about something, in which Barry does reveal that he has suspicions on Meena Dahwan's speedster abilities, and this results him going to Fast Track Labs to further investigate this issue. We do also have another Cecile scene towards the end of the episode where we have her being like a vigilante of some sort, which I really don't like. I am not a fan of whatever they're doing and whatever they're pushing for over here. It's so unnecessary. I don't know why they feel forced to make Cecile a vigilante. But yeah, we'll see where it goes in upcoming episodes. But yeah, we then have Barry going to Fast Track Labs, meeting with Meena Dahwan. Of course, he does not reveal his identity to Meena. He just says, oh, I work very closely with the Flash, and he wants me to essentially check on whatever you're working on and like how it gave you speedster abilities or something along those lines. And he essentially gets a tour around the lab, in which we are revealed the lightning oscillation chamber. And Barry starts to essentially fanboy about it as he realizes that this piece of tech is like decades into the future. And then this all makes sense in regards to why it's like so advanced. And that's because of her associate, Eobard Thawne, aka the original Eobard Thawne, played by Matt Letcher. And it was quite tense, and it was really, really cool, especially when we saw Barry's reaction. It was really priceless. But yeah, Thawne doesn't remember much, and he pretty much just acts normal. Like Barry is so confused, like, wait, how are you out of prison? What the hell's happening over here? And during their confrontation between each other, Thawne has no idea what Barry is talking about when Barry calls him like a murderous speedster and all those sorts of stuff. So yeah, Barry's just, he's going all out, and Thawne pretty much has no idea what's going on over here. So that does of course establish this mystery in regards to what's happened with Thawne as well. We don't know exactly from which point in time this version of Eobard Thawne is from. They do of course have theories of their own during the episode, but again, that was just theories. We don't know for 100%, so I'm interested to see if we will get some sort of twist or something along those lines with this version of Eobard as well. We do get some really cool flashbacks with this younger version of Eobard Thawne as well. We have him applying for Fast Track Labs. He's of course going for a job there, and Meena is not satisfied with the resume he has, which does make sense because this guy's from the future. He's not really gonna have much in this timeline. But Thawne's intelligence just outcompetes everyone because he's able to solve the speedster formula in like a thought, in literally 2 seconds. And that was something that really shocked Meena because Meena has been struggling to find the answers for it, and Thawne just was able to find so quickly, just showing how smart this guy is. But Barry goes to Lian visiting the other Thawne, aka Wellsobard, and he stands in confusion because he thought that Eobard Thawne escaped prison, but no, he's just sat there reading a book, minding his own business. Now Barry does give him a series of questions in which Thawne has no idea what's going on. He does say that it is impossible for that younger Thawne to be out there as like a younger version of himself. He's probably from another timeline. That's what Thawne does suggest. And we have Barry sketching up the oscillation chamber on Thawne's book, and Thawne reveals that it is the exact same chamber he created 2 centuries from this point in time. And of course, it's the thing that allowed him to gain speedster abilities, which of course backfired and he connected to the negative speed force instead. So we are kind of somewhat getting like a negative Speed Force origin during this episode, and I thought that was really, really cool. But yeah, Thawne does mention that this Meena Dahwan does not really have a future. So currently she is someone new in the Speedster canon within the Arrowverse, and Barry suspects it's due to the negative Speed Force potentially corrupting her. So yeah, of course Barry has to save her and stop Meena from trying to push forward with trying to advance with this Speed Force, or else she's of course going to get corrupted by the negative Speed Force, which, as we saw before with Nora, it doesn't go well. Now we then have Barry leaving Lian Yu, and this is when we get this monologue from Thawne saying something along the lines of, "Just when I thought this day couldn't get any more interesting." Now I thought this was when Matt Letcher's Eobard was going to show up, but we got something better. He then calls John, revealing John Diggle, and I was just like, what the hell is happening over here? Is Diggle working with Thawne or something like that? And of course, we do find out that it's got something to do with this Green Lantern storyline. And it's really, really interesting. I wasn't expecting Diggle to show up in this episode. I don't think anyone was. And just seeing Diggle over here working with Thawne, or just interacting with Thawne in general, was so cool. Now I really love the scene where Diggle was just like, "Oh, last I saw you, you were on a wheelchair," and Thawne reverses back saying, "Last I saw you, Oliver Queen was alive," which was very, very cold, but it was such a Thawne thing to do. But yeah, we of course found out that Diggle went to visit Thawne so that he could get some answers on how to open the Green Lantern ring box, saying that Thawne is from the future, so Diggle essentially wants to use like advanced brains to try and figure out how this works. And for 2 years Diggle has been really struggling, so that's why he feels forced to go to Thawne, and of course he's been away from his family because of this mission, if you will. But Thawne agrees only under one condition, which is that he gets to see what's inside the box. So yeah, Diggle talks to Thawne and mentions the thing he was doing when he first was able to open up the box with the ring on it, and that was that he was at Oliver's funeral, and of course they were moving to Metropolis and going for this new beginning, and Thawne suggests, okay, it's probably because this was the first time you felt properly in control in your life or something along those lines. And we do have Thawne giving Diggle this speech while Diggle connects with the box and he's able to open it up. He sees like different areas within the universe, he sees different planets. It was really, really cool and just visually sick to watch. And Thawne's monologue gave me chills, especially when he said break through the source wall and all of that. I loved it. And the source wall, I'm not too familiar with it, but upon research, it is essentially this barrier surrounding the multiverse, and this essentially consisting of frozen statues of cosmic beings that failed to break through the wall. So that was a pretty cool reference, I guess. But Diggle then rejects the ring, and this really triggers me. Now, although it is a Diggle thing to do, it felt right for Diggle himself to do it. But for me, I was just like, 2 years of setup for this, only to see Diggle rejecting the ring? It just didn't sit right. So I thought we were robbed of the moment, but who knows, maybe we will see the fallout of this in the future, because we know Diggle will be there in the Superman and Lois Season 2 finale and will recur in Season 3. So maybe something about that storyline will happen over there, and maybe he's going to have to reconnect with the ring and eventually become Green Lantern then. I'm not entirely sure, but I would be lying if I said that I wasn't disappointed with what we saw over here, because they spent 2 years setting up only for Diggle to reject the ring, and I just wasn't a fan of that. Now we then have Thawne trying to boost Meena's speed, so they increase like the dosage of her exposure to lightning in the oscillation chamber, in which we then have Barry running in as the Flash trying to talk Meena out. But instead of like, properly trying to talk Meena out, he just goes to Thawne and just confronts him right away, in which Meena just gets angry about that and she just opens up the machine, forcing more exposure to the negative speed force. And Barry tries to stop her, but he just gets knocked away. Her lightning like backfires onto Barry, and Barry just gets tossed away. Yeah, essentially Meena turns into the negative Flash pretty much, which was something I did really like. It was a really cool Easter egg from the comics, especially where Meena does become a villain known as the negative Flash. Now, of course, it's not in the same way at all, but it was just a pretty cool reference to make Meena evil, especially for just like a brief amount of time. Now, Meena does run off to, of course, siphon more energy. During the meantime, Barry wakes up after being knocked out and immediately goes to confront Thawne. And we see this human side of Thawne, which I was not expecting, but it was something I really liked, where he does mention that he wanted nothing more than to become a speedster, but he knew that Meena had a heart disease, and to cure her, he let her use the oscillation chamber because only one person could use the oscillation chamber, and Thawne was being selfless. He gave it to Meena, of course healing her and giving her speedster abilities, which of course shows the selfless side to Thawne, which I did really like, and like how much he idolizes the Flash, which of course is a complete contradiction to what Wellsobard said during the start of the episode, where he said something along the lines of, us Thawnes only think of ourselves, they won't care about anyone else. So we do see these two different versions of Thawnes essentially being binary opposites with one another, and I thought that was really, really cool as well. But Thawne does reveal that he was in love with Meena Dahwan, which was an interesting twist. But yeah, Barry is convinced that this Thawne cannot be a villain. He's too selfless, and we do pretty much see them teaming up together, which was something really, really cool, and did pay homage to previous seasons where of course we did have Harrison Wells and Barry teaming up in season 1, so that was really, really cool. But yeah, Meena targets Keystone Dam to siphon energy while Barry is trying to drain her artificial speed. We do get this cool like chase scene in the water, and I did really like it. And we did have some really visually sick moments, such as Barry throwing lightning mid-air. And then eventually we have Meena being able to pin Barry to the ground by summoning lightning from the sky. And it, of course, hitting Barry. All of that I thought was really, really cool. And yeah, just about when she's about to kill Barry with her vibrating reverse flash hand, Thawne steps in and essentially gets through to Meena. So yeah, that was something I did quite enjoy as well. But we do then head back to Fast Track Labs, where we see Meena and Thawne essentially telling Team Flash that they want to shut off this machine due to all the harm it caused. But Barry suggests that, okay, maybe if we tinkered with it, then we could prevent Meena from essentially going all negative Speed Force again. And also Barry did mention that just think about something you love most, so again, like reinforcing this whole power of love stuff once again. Now in terms of what's happening with Matt Latcher's Thawne and like the mystery created with that, we did have this really cool cameo from Ray Palmer where he does tell Team Flash about the events that took place during season 7 of Legends of Tomorrow, most notably season 7 episode 10 and 11 for those who want to watch the episode. And I did do a video essentially explaining both of the episodes, so you guys can of course check that out as well. But essentially Thawne was in charge of keeping this area called the Fixed Point and all, and then he does eventually die. And then they suggest that this version of Thawne, who's from Flashpoint and Legends of Tomorrow, and of course this is just a theory, but they suggest that the time rates brought Thawne to present day. So we don't even know if this version of Thawne is specifically from Flashpoint or Legends of Tomorrow. They don't know that. This is just a working theory. They only just suggest that, okay, maybe he was sent to present day with his memories wiped off or something along those lines, so he doesn't essentially go evil. Now, I think this is still part of Wellsobard's plan. Or what I think is going to happen is when we get to the finale, when Wellsobard breaks out of prison, he will kill Meena, or he will do something to her, which will cause Matt Latcher's Thawne to snap. So this will either make him gain his memories back and just unlock and just go pure evil again, or just causes him to flip and just turns evil and will just be determined to gain speed again, become selfish again, and becomes the Flash's arch enemy once again. That is what I think is going to happen, but of course I could be wrong. Maybe something else does happen as well. Now we do then have this really, really cool ending with Chillblaine on call with Caitlin, and he mentions that he found a solution to bringing Frost back, revealing some sort of cryo chamber. So I think this is where all things begin to go wrong, and Caitlin's going to end up becoming Killer Frost herself, because Chillblaine says, okay, I need you for this. So maybe Caitlin's gonna have to go inside that chamber, and then that's when we see Caitlin just fully transforming, setting up her becoming Killer Frost. But yeah, we do then have this really, really cool cliffhanger where we have Wellsobard reminiscing moments from the past, and then we have Dion mentioning that he only found out about Thawne once Diggle opened up the Green Lantern box, and I think that's only because of the fact that he's pretty much supposed to be erased from the timeline due to what happened in Armageddon. So I think that's why Dion wasn't able to find him before. But yeah, Dion mentions that it's time for Thawne to essentially fulfill his destiny. So So I think this is due to the negative still force corrupting Dion. And of course, that's the reason causing Iris's time sickness again. That's what I think is going to happen. I think once again, Thawne's been in control of the negative still force. So he's essentially corrupting the still force over here, and now he's going to control the still force. That's how I think Thawne will pretty much break out of prison. He's going to control the still force, and then he's going to slowly go after the other forces after breaking out of prison, of course setting up the finale. That would just be insane to see, and oh my god, I am so excited for these final 2 episodes, because this is definitely such a strong final graphic novel, and it's just such a great way to end off the season. So yeah, thank you Eric Wallace for this, because I'm really enjoying what we're getting for this graphic novel so far, and we just know Eobard Thawne is going to kill it. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe. Be sure to tell me in the comment section down below if you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm interested to see all of your opinions towards all of this as well. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.